Hey guys, today's story is about Rusty. Pocket singing! So, let's set the scene. The group had begun about a month previously, when dear old Ben had gone to mast and got knocked down a couple of pegs. As you see, we're on a Navy ship, and he got in trouble. And because he was in trouble, he was on restriction, which meant that he wasn't allowed to leave the ship without any escorts. And even when he did leave with those escorts, it was only for official purposes only. And most of his non-Navy related media was temporarily confiscated. As such, he had a lot of time to come up with D&D campaigns, and the one we were playing was our second campaign to go from tiers 1 to 4. The first one was a Ravnica campaign. This campaign, however, was very much the story of Dandelion Bond, a half-elf bard, and his best friend, Rusty Shackleford, and a gnome rogue. Mostly because they were the only characters that survived from the beginning to the end. Why were they the only ones who survived? Well, D&D's player was in deck department, and for some reason during this time period, their chief had a bug up his bum about working hours, so he was often not present when Rusty was doing something stupid. Case in point, after we finished one arc with my Dragonborn sorcerer/cleric, Kriv and Rusty went to kickstart the next quest. And through a wish, Rusty got a wish from a Merid that he used to save Kriv, who had been captured by Gith. His wish, that I still bug him about nearly 2 years later? I wish for my friend Kriv to become a fully grown dragon of his type. Kriv was a white dragonborn, so I imagine many of you can assume how that went. Later on, Rusty was the cause of another TPK from which Dandy was the only survivor because his player wasn't there for that session. Besides Rusty, no one could be resurrected, because our wizard was a Yuan-Ti, who decided it would be a good idea to mouth off to Seth when he was offered a chance at resurrection. Our wizard/cleric ended up with his soul being owned by Vecna, and the warlock/monk was stuck being reincarnated into the next stage of the avatar cycle, so no one else's soul was free to be rezzed. The guy who played the wizard/cleric took this extremely personally for some reason, and decided to get back at the guy playing Rusty by embarrassing him into the ground, with the single cringiest character that I have ever actually sat down at a D&D table with, Rusty Shackleford, Rusty's twin sister. So called because of her double F cups, and commonly described as 10 pounds of gnome and 10 pounds of breasts. She had the mentality of a 5-year-old, except for when having intercourse, at which point her mentality would shift to that of an 18-year-old porn star. She carried around a fake bunny that Rusty had to fix when it broke, and she occasionally threw temper tantrums, where she would either wild shape into an animal or cast some manner of polymorph spell on herself and start wrecking things up. And the only people who could calm her down from such a tantrum were Rusty or my high elf blade singer. But this has already gone on longer than I intended to, so let's just say, Rusty stayed until the joke stopped being funny, and then stayed until the end of the campaign. She died in the fight against the BBEG, Nicole Bolas, and then post-fight was reincarnated as a dwarf. Well guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you would like to chat and hang out, I have a Discord link in the description. But, as always, have a good one.